Live soon. Okay. Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and this is a secret. You're wondering, well, what in the world is a secret? Well, I'm going to talk about an agency, and I have not heard too many good things about them. It's social services. They have a branch called the Child Protection Services. It may have other names in other parts of the country, so that's okay. It's all part of social service, and they're responsible by law to watch your children and to answer any allegations that come in. And these allegations come from professionals and lay people, and a lot of the allegations are not necessarily true. But the sad part is that when social service investigates, they assume that they are true. So you're guilty before you're proven innocent, and that is the worst thing to be in that kind of scenario. Now this show is on 7 days a week at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time for 1 hour, and then at 7 o'clock in the evening Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. So it's a show that we have guest speakers on. People can call in and be a guest speaker. They can sign up to be a guest speaker. We also have a attorney that you can utilize. He is produces the show. It's Vincent W. Davis and Associates, and he is a he is a professional family law attorney. He has years and years experience of fighting with CPS, and he has won cases and got your children back. Um, right now, he's offering a special, 30 minute up to an hour of free consultation, and he'll talk to you about the strategies of how to get your kids back and what you can do. Also, if you like him, you may want to hire him. I wish I did early in part of my case, but I didn't. So we all make mistakes, but it's the most important tool you'll need to fight CPS because he knows how to navigate CPS. He knows the laws, he knows the forms you need to use, and he will get your children back. He also is a trial attorney, and he has fought CPS in civil matters and sued them and won his cases. He's based in Southern California, like I am, but he goes to Northern California and all the 50 states in there. Now, we do have sometimes listeners from other countries. We welcome the other countries because they too are experiencing problems with CPS. It's nice everybody can share. But the one thing they have in common is they're finding out that CPS is corrupt and they're not transparent. They use deceptive practices, and it's $1 billion business for them to steal, not take your child, steal your child, and try to get them into foster care to be adopted to the age of 18. And they make all that money for all those years they keep your kids. And they do ruin families, and it's sad. I really admire you people that call in or fighting because you should never give up. You love your kids and everything. Now, if you want to type in a comment, feel free to do so. I'll display the comment throughout the show. We'll try to answer your question. We have Tess Young already started with the comment. I need to know where you're from and your allegations. She says that she's going to trial next week, and I'm almost afraid they're going to take my baby. She says. Let me see here. Unfortunately, don't have the money for a good attorney. I know that feeling, and you're stuck with the public defender. The public defenders are nightmares, and I'm sure everybody will attest. They are young and they're inexperienced, and they're carrying a caseload of 20 or more clients, and they're supposed to give you attention when you're lucky to get 5 minutes, and they're not going to really defend your case, wills and deals. They make deals with social services, and you'll find later that the courtrooms are very, 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 very corrupt. The dependency court, they have judges. My judge do nothing about family reunification because that's the whole purpose. When allegations are made, they investigate them. Then they make a safety plan to see where your child should be if they want to take your child from you or whatnot. But they're supposed to do family reunification, and they're really supposed to help you and everything there. And the important thing I want to mention is the Native American uh, Indian children out there that they have ICWA, which is the the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1979 that tells that CPS must contact the tribes and the tribes take care of their own. But there's things like that throughout the show that I will mention from time to time. But Tess Young is from Shasta County. Um, uh, Tess Young, she's from California's Shasta County. That's about up Northern California way. So glad to have you there, Shasta. Now, the contact our attorney to get a hold of him, you want to call 888-888-6582. And that is my office. Make sure you say that Bob Pace sent you and that you want to have a consultation with Vincent Davis. And down the bottom, there's a ticket that has a website. That's his calendar. Review that website, see what date works for you, and make that appointment. Don't forget to make that appointment. It's a valuable tool that you can't miss. Also, if you want to be a guest speaker, like Brent is, it's at 888-888-6582. And again, say that Bob Pace sent you and make your scheduled time on one of my 14 shows. Twice a day, 7 days a week. And so I'm here to help you all. I'm not an attorney, but I have lots of experience with them, and I've heard a lot of cases and everything. And so I'm going to give the floor over to Brent here in a moment. One other thing I have to tell you, your second tool is a notebook. You need to write down the date, the time, incident, who's involved, and the outcome. It's very important you keep track of this because these cases are not over in a month and you'll forget it. They will last years. Mine was very active for 3 years. It was a nightmare. So if you don't have that notebook, you won't remember things 6 months from now or something. That is a valuable tool. The lawyer in the notebook will help you fight CPS and get your kids back. Okay, we have Brent here. Brent is from Wisconsin. They just had a tornado. Some excitement. They're on the news this morning. So we heard from Wisconsin, and I think they're called the land of lakes, if I'm not mistaken. And they have a lot of water up there, and we don't need more water here. We've had storm wet weather last us for years, so I'm glad we had it. But today we got some sunshine here in California. But Brent, go ahead and tell them your story. Start at the beginning, your allegations, and who it involves, and what people um, that you're with on this. Go ahead, Brent.
Well, first and foremost, thanks so much for having me again here. I'm not a stranger to the show, and I definitely want to dive right in. But I want to touch base on maybe some of the things that you just touched on previously, like I think that incompetence of the court-appointed lawyers. That totally happens, but it's almost the least of your concerns if they're not in the pocket of the county already. And I've been witness to this. I've seen it. So and getting advice that is completely contradictory to what I'm doing everything and sacrificing everything for. Yeah, so it's a dangerous game out there, and you definitely want a trustworthy lawyer. Like that's not a thing that you can really compromise. And I'm a nobody coming from nowhere, kind of. So if anybody's listening, like that is incredibly important. If you are in the hands of a court-appointed lawyer, even if you went and sought your own, if you are in the hands of a court-appointed lawyer, then you got to take kind of what they say with a grain of salt, they say. So you definitely need to do your research, know your laws, and have a trustworthy lawyers first and foremost.
And one
So
thing, Brent,
that's
I want to
so
say about
imperative.
the public defenders, you can replace them. Keep that in mind that social workers and public defenders can be replaced. You just have to request and be patient, but they're not in
Yeah,
stone. You may have to go through 10 or 15 public defenders. So
that's
it's
right.
not the best course, but you just go to the public defender office and say, this guy is not working out. I want him replaced. And that is your constitutional rights. It's so important to know your constitutional rights. So even the
Yeah, I
venue
did
of
that
court
actually.
can change. Go ahead.
Sure. I did that actually in Wisconsin, and the judge grilled me for doing that. They
Yeah.
grilled me big time, made a fool of me, right? Yeah, I said it was. not my right because it wasn't a criminal case or something like that. And their words exactly was, I was manipulating the court system. Yep, yep. They will do everything and say everything they can to get you to not to lose their game. They'll do everything. They don't even want you to know the resources to their game. That's absolutely accurate. And I
What was the
record.
judge's background, Brent? What was the judge's background?
I had dealt with her previously in the past too. She wasn't not a very
What is
reasonable
her
person.
background like? What is her qualifications to be a judge?
I wouldn't even know. I was so busy trying to cover
Yeah,
my own bases that I didn't. That would have been the last thing that I would have looked into.
mine
But
was
in for future reference,
mine was property damage and how to do
ah,
collision claims
sure,
with automotive. So that was a really good background. He wasn't in family law at all. So
yeah,
that's one thing. This be election year, we have to go out and vote, and we need to vote for judges. Not only the president, but we got to vote for judges because judges are definitely elected officials, and we'll make sure that our courts are filled with officials that know something about the law. A
hmm,
family lawyer is a good candidate for a judge, but someone who does property damage or fighting auto claims is not a good candidate. I don't know what your lady judge background was, but I imagine she was maybe not a family lawyer. Maybe she did something else, basket weaving 101 or something.
sure, sure. Um, so yeah, they'll definitely try to catch you up in their rigmarole and stop you from even utilizing the resources available to you. So everything that you touched on thus far is 100% accurate from my experience. So all right, to dive into my instance, two children, toddlers, coming out of that toddler age, and their mother is very, very, very mentally unwell. So I have a background of working with people that are I'm state certified in like crisis prevention intervention, preventing abuse in vulnerable adults, nonviolent crisis intervention, state certified in all sorts of things like that. So I have a lot of experience and a lot of tolerance when it comes to being on the receiving end of like
It sounds like you have a certificate or
quite a few.
have a license in what you're doing. Do you know social workers don't need a license? Social workers don't need a certificate. Social
Oh,
workers,
interesting.
some of them, and a lot of them, are just fresh out of high school that come aboard and they don't have to do a mentor program where they have to be on a case for 10 years observing and learning. It's like a doctor. If you need open heart surgery, you're going to use a doctor that hasn't gone through medical school, that hasn't done an internship, that doesn't have a license, operate on you. The same thing about
Right.
CPS. Those social workers are very, 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 very inexperienced, bad, and they will tear you apart. Their sole
Sure.
goal is money. Is money. It's $1 billion business.
Yes, sir. Absolutely agree. Uh, so in any case, she's very unwell, and she. Oh yeah, I dealt with that too, and I'll get to that. I'm going to kind of cruise through because I don't have all the time in the world, but I'll
Well, we got a
definitely
lot of
touch
time
base.
here. We got a lot of time. We got a
Sure.
good 50 minutes. So
So there was an incident where the mom, and this is not anything even remotely new. The mom had a escalating behavior, so to speak. It doesn't need a source, and they're really hard to stop once it starts. For people who suffer from like mental ailments like that, uh, it's really hard to stop once it starts. So couldn't get away. She got a scissors, cut me up with a scissors. There are all marks of that and stuff. I called the cops. I'm the big scary black guy, so I got arrested. Right? They weren't trying to hear about all my. And this is not the first time that transpired like that. It's remarkable. It is crazy that I get attacked and I get arrested for getting attacked twice. I've been arrested for. So now I'm investigating actually my police department on top of it. So good job, guys. I guess. I mean, I can't fathom. I just don't understand it ever. But I'll touch more on that in a bit too. And in any case, we're both arrested, so at least there was a little bit of justice there, and right, like my assaulter got arrested, so that's good, I guess. So any case, when we were both arrested, the police were supposed to afford us me because I have primary placement and custody of my because she has terrible mental illness issues. So I've always
Okay.
had full primary placement. Okay. So they were supposed to afford me the opportunity to find care for my children and to say goodbye to my children once they informed me that I was being incarcerated for literally no reason.
What were the
So,
allegations? What were the allegations that
oh,
CPS?
domestic violence, you bet. Yeah, just domestic violence for no reason. For no reason. Yeah, because I tried to get away from her.
So
Hmm.
why did they not put the children with the mother?
Their mother was the one who assaulted me, and she was also getting incarcerated because
Okay.
she attacked me
So
with a
both you guys
scissors.
are incarcerated. Did you get an opportunity to do a safety plan where you get
I made it
abused?
happen.
Yeah.
I
Did you?
immediately arranged for care for my children. Yeah. And they were there within like 15 minutes, I believe they said. They
Okay.
testified in court that they were there within 15 minutes. So when that situation unravels in that fashion, the police can take away the caregivers, okay? And then one of two things can happen. The parents can be afforded or will make arrangements for their children, and then CPS intervention stops right there. Doesn't even they don't even get involved because unless there's severely strenuous circumstances, this is coming from my Department of Justice in Wisconsin, unless there's severely strenuous circumstances that prove the children were being abused, okay, not even just signs, there needs to be proof, okay, nothing like that, obviously, okay, then CPS doesn't even get called. They don't even get involved because yes, this incident happened here, but if the children weren't involved and there's no evidence or signs of abuse or neglect, then so on and so forth. Great. Well, they arrested us. I found care for them. They still called CPS. Great. So I sit in jail for 4 or 5 days for
They're
no good
required
reason.
by law. They're required by law. Any professional that sees any indication of child abuse or neglect, they're required by law. Domestic violence
Yep.
is threatening to children, and there's all kinds of domestic violence too. So
Yeah.
they're
So the funny
required by
thing
law.
about
They're
this is
investigating, but hopefully you found some family members they can stay with.
I did
Good.
that could
Okay.
care for them immediately. But the interesting about this is that my children weren't even present during this incident. If my
That's
children
good.
were present, yeah, yeah. So
That's
they
good.
got home. They came home from school to find me and their mother in cuffs getting ready to get put into a police car.
Oh,
Right then
that's
and there, I was
that's
supposed to be
traumatic.
afforded the yeah, it was terrible. Right then and there, according to my Department of Justice in Wisconsin, I was supposed to be afforded the opportunity to console my children and the opportunity to find cares for them. I had already found cares for them because I know the rigmarole of my county and my police and how conviction starved they are, really, and they'll act like it too. So I know their rigmarole. So I immediately set up cares. The first I called them, and then I immediately called somebody to start getting somebody to take my kids right away because I know their game around here. I know it.
Right.
So in
Right.
any case, moving right along. So we're both incarcerated 4 days. I get out on my son's birthday, and I'm informed that I'm not allowed to go pick him up from school. So then the next day,
Because
um,
the criminal matter. That's why.
because CPS said I wasn't permitted to pick up my children. So then the next day, there was a court order signed. That's really important information for you and anybody else listening. CPS told me I could not get my kids from school on March 7th. Yep. And then on March 8th, a court order was signed that stated I could not get my kids. Yeah. So that's really important for everybody that's listening. You have to be able to diversify those two incidents, separate them as two incidents. They said I couldn't get my kids, and now there's a court order signed the next day. That's two separate instances. Okay,
Right.
so now I'm dealing with CPS. I record everything. I know you advised to use a pen and paper. I
That's
use a
good.
voice recorder on my
That's
phone
good.
every single incident, every court date. If there's a hearing, now I wouldn't advise doing that because I believe that's technically illegal. I record everything,
Well, you as long as
everything.
you inform them you're being recorded, you can do so. As long as you tell
Not in
them,
the state of Wisconsin.
oh, okay,
I
I don't
think
know.
California is a little bit more strict. Truly,
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard that. So in any case, They would definitely, and I would arrange for meetings with these people, the intake worker and the ongoing worker, two completely, again, kind of different entities working for the same corporation. They operate just a little bit differently with the same goal to keep your children away from you, to create obstacles. Sure, can't record in California. I've heard that. Like I said, sorry to hear that. They don't make it easy, right? They cover their tracks. They prevent you from. Just wait. No, it gets crazy here in a minute. I'm getting right through it. So they try and lie to me, like right to my face, tell me my kids are afraid of me. It's the craziest thing. Okay, so my kids are afraid. What evidence do you? Because I have the school still calling me, telling me my kids are crying, begging to come home. The person that I arranged for cares with, that they set up like the permanent care with, so to speak, to
Right,
temporary placement with them, was
right.
affording me extra video visits with my children because they were distraught because they weren't home with me. It was a mess. Now, as a parent, there's almost nothing worse you can experience. As a parent, not being able to be there for your children that are crying for you specifically, and you can't, there's not a damn thing you can do to get to them. There's nothing worse than that.
Now, do you
There's like
know that
nothing worse than that.
you know that you don't have to talk to social workers? Yes, no is the only answers, but the more you talk to social workers,
Yep.
the worse your case will become because they'll
Yep.
twist things and
Oh yeah,
everything.
you bet.
So, not only that, social workers are not allowed in the home. The police are not allowed home unless they have a warrant, and they have to
Yep.
be a
That's
court
right.
order in there, and they have to have some type of a warrant to take your children. By the way, and they can't take your children. So you place them with family relatives was smart on your part, but unless you have an attorney, you should not talk to social workers
That's
because
right. I agree
they will they will
wholeheartedly.
twist and turn and do
Yep.
stupid things,
Everything.
and they will
But I
try
was
to
aware of
cover
that.
their bases. So
That's why I
okay,
record everything. I
yeah,
don't even mess with pencil and paper. Straight to a voice recording every time. You can run it right in the background. It's easy peasy to do. Anybody can swing it, really. Nothing to it. And it's free. You can get the free voice recorder and you're off and running, man. And you have like
right,
substantial, solid protection and evidence that that will stop them in their tracks when they're come and try and twist and turn their stuff. And that's what they
right.
do. Oh, did you ever smoke marijuana? Oh, yeah. You know what? A funny story. I tried it once when I was like 17. Yeah, it wasn't really my thing. Turns out you need AODA, actually. You did
Oh,
marijuana, did you? Yeah,
yeah.
you're a whole bunch of trouble. Yep.
You don't
Yeah, so
mention
you're not getting
drugs
your
at
kids back
all
until you
because yeah, all drugs with children in the home is illegal. So even that marijuana
absolutely.
might be there,
Of
but
course.
children
Absolutely.
have to be, over the age of 18 before you can deal with drugs. So that's a
Sure.
no. Yeah, yeah,
Of course, that's a vague instance of like why you don't want to tell these people anything, and an
right.
example of how they twist things like that. I haven't
Yes,
had an instance like
yes,
that, but I've heard of people having instances like that, and
yeah,
it's. I'm saying they'll use anything and everything against you. So if you let them into your home and they find like a dirty dish somewhere or anything like that, an article of clothing. I'm saying an article, one dirty dish, one piece of clothing where it doesn't mean that means that they have what they need to not be lying when they go to court and say there's things that were awry, there was things that were a mess, that the items placed
oh,
where they shouldn't have been placed.
they stretch things so bad. My
That's what I'm
allegations,
saying.
my allegations were
Yep.
made by family members that were trying to alienate our kids from us. But
Mm,
they, social workers says, because you have your parents' belongings in your home, even though they're neatly stacked and so forth, they're saying the boxes could jump out and attack the children in their bedrooms. The furniture could walk upstairs and attack the children. And
yeah.
so they were saying you're neglect because you have this. And the reason why I had the furniture and the boxes of my parents, they were dying and they wanted to liquidate their homes. And unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have a job, and that was through no fault of my own. But I
Sure.
didn't have the money to put it in the storage or pay some professional people to help me sort through it and get it shipped out to family and friends. I did the next best things, and my daughter and I went up and got my parents' belongings and stored as best as we could. But that's the only thing that they can hammer us on. And
Mm.
again,
And what a
French.
remedial thing to try and use against
Yes,
you.
yes, exactly,
Ridiculous.
exactly.
Really.
So,
um
so what my question is that once you go through the incarceration, they're probably going to hold off until you settle your criminal matter, right?
all charges were dropped against me.
Good. Did you get an attorney right away?
I did not.
So you did this all without an attorney.
That's correct. I mean,
Wow,
I
you're
shouldn't have been
smart.
arrested in the first place. Like I'm not jesting when I say that. There's
Yeah.
I got
Did a
cut up
public
with
defender?
scissors,
Did a
not a
public
mark on
defender?
her. I get
Did a
arrested.
I know, but did a public defender help you?
No, they
So
just
how
dropped the
did you?
charges.
I was just well. What did you say to court? I mean, how did you get out of this?
I didn't even have a court date.
So
It's
after
like they
they did
got all
their
the evidence and
investigation,
heard me
yeah.
and
So
but
they
didn't
must have,
process it until days later.
okay. So they are investigating it internally, and the district attorney for that city didn't want to prosecute charges, criminal charges.
Correct.
So once that was dropped, then what did CPS do?
Then I get released from jail. Shouldn't have gone in the first place. It just drives me nuts, man. I'm telling you. I can't tell you what it's like to be attacked and then be incarcerated and then be treated like a criminal after you're incarcerated
Yeah.
for being assaulted.
Right. Right.
It's so shocking. So sorry, I'm gonna try and get through this without all the trauma.
That's
So
okay. You have to revive it, revive it. I do it all the time. I know that.
yeah, it's awful. That is like one of the worst parts of this. Like it's not done when it's done. It doesn't just go away. Nah, no, not even close. Especially when there's not a rhyme or reason, like in my case, if there's no reason, I can't do anything to change it. Like there's nothing I can do. So if there's nothing I can do, it'll just happen again at random at any point in time. There's nothing I can do to stop it. So I feel like my hands are tied here constantly. Even now, having my children back, having won them back, it's a
Now,
crazy
what
thing that
about your
torments me.
wife? Was that a married woman or a partner or what?
So interesting. No, we were not together, not physically or emotionally or anything like that. She had a history of not seeing her kids for 2 to 3 years at a time, once or twice over. So
She had
I gave
kids
her an
from other.
opportunity.
She had kids from other relationships.
Yeah, she did.
Okay,
But
so
I
she
gave
had
her an
come back.
opportunity to like come. Oh yeah, kind of in the beginning maybe, but I kind of fell off of that boat once that like the second or third time around. I was like, okay, well you can just go do that then, and like I'll be here with the kids. So then an opportunity came up, so I took her on because as a parent, it's the second worst thing to try and explain to them like, yeah, I don't know where your mom is. I don't know what she's doing. I'm sure she loves you. Of course she does. I don't know why she doesn't answer the phone, and all things like that. When she's out there couch surfing and living her life but it's mental illness, man. That's what it is. Like if you don't get help, then she don't have the opportunities that a normal person would have, even to
So what
begin
did
with. So like,
CPS? They returned the kids to you or what?
oh yeah, I want him back via jury trial against every piece of advice that anybody had ever given me from the start of the case, including
Wow,
my public defender.
wow. So you had a jury trial, and
Yes
was
sir.
that dependency court or was that criminal court?
Not It was not a criminal matter.
So
So
it was
there, okay.
dependency, it was family law, right? Involved,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
There was a guardian ad litem. Oh yeah, there was. You bet. He
Yeah.
interviewed my kids. He actually did his job that he was supposed to do, and he said everything to the contrary of CPS. You know what's interesting? Wouldn't testify to that in court though at the jury trial. He wouldn't testify that my children, yeah, wanted to come home and were crying about me and were absolutely not afraid of me, just desperate to come home, while CPS was right there in front of him at a jury trial propagating lies.
Now you say a jury trial. That's
Interesting.
what got me confused
Yes, sir.
because family services doesn't use juries to decide
We are entitled to a
this.
jury trial in
In
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a good
Even
thing because
and again, it's
without a
not a
jury
criminal
trial
case.
with your peers, it
Yep.
really is tough fighting in California because you are guilty to you're proven innocent, and then it's all it is a little clique of social workers, attorneys, the public defenders in the little courtroom, and you're not allowed in California to be in that courtroom except for like 1 or 2 minutes to hear the judge tell you what's happened to your case. You're not allowed to be in there. Your children are not allowed to be in there, and that is so
Wow.
bad. You
What a
are stuck in
rigmarole.
the you are stuck in the hallway, walking back and forth, where your case is being discussed by your public defenders and attorney, and they're making wheels and deals, and it's sad. I was destroyed. My wife and I were destroyed because the end result was that our youngest daughter um, was alienated and convinced by CPS to choose a foster home and be adopted by the adopted parents and divorce us as parents. That
Yep.
was the worst nightmare. I mean, I still hurt today. My wife still does because we love her daughter. And instead of doing family reunification,
Yep.
they tore us apart. They did not. Did they try to bring your? Did they? I mean, when you did that jury trial and you won your case, then what happened?
I wouldn't grab my kids.
And do you think about leaving the state?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Every moment of every day. That I want nothing more than to get the hell out of here. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
If I had the
most
resource, I'd be
people
gone.
most people do relocate if they get involved in CPS wherever state they're in because it's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. It's a reoccurring nightmare.
It's a little,
At
yeah,
this
putting
time,
it
I want
nicely.
to say a little bit about our sponsor of the show and a little 1 minute break here. For all you listeners out there, this is a live broadcast that's done through Facebook on YouTube. I'm on from 10 o'clock in the morning for an hour Pacific Standard Time, and then again at 7 p.m. Pacific Time for another hour. And I do this 7 days a week. That's 14 shows. And if you want to be a guest speaker, you can call into 888-888-6582 and say that Bob Pace sent you and that you want to be on one of my shows as a guest speaker because I love to have you. It breaks up the monotony than having one person talk all the time. Um, Another way to interact with the show is what Tess Young's done. Is that she's from Shasta, California, Shasta County, and she is talking about her case, her troubles getting her social worker, who supposedly is 60, which is really surprising because most of the social workers are very young. So I'd like to hear more from Tess Young about the social worker, what she's doing or not doing. And this law firm, the Vincent W. Davis and Associates, has many attorneys in a lot of legal matters, but he is a specialist in family law. He is available right now to do a free consultation for 30 minutes up to an hour to talk about CPS and your case. And if you like him, you should retain him. He is a trial attorney. He has also sued CPS and won his case. He is very experienced in CPS and getting children back. He practices in Southern California, Northern California, and all the 50 states. So he's open, and then he's a valuable tool. The most valuable tool is an attorney. Brent is very fortunate. He's able to fight his issues and it's really fascinating what you're doing there. So Tess Young, still keep texting messages here, and I'll try to answer them there. I'd like more to know about that social worker 60 and what your allegations were that you're involved in Shasta County. Um, with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brent, and you can continue from the time I guess the children return to you, and then what happened?
Getting them back into school. I'm going to tell you, nothing really went back to normal entirely. Like mentioned briefly, there's a piece of me that feels like there's nothing I can do to stop them when they get involved because of they run a really interesting system. So now I'm suing them. I actually just sent them my letter of intent to sue them previously. It's impossible to find a lawyer that's willing to sue CPS. I'll do it myself then. I know
Vincent
right
Davis,
from
bro.
wrong.
Vincent
Oh, I know it.
Davis,
Yeah,
bro.
I heard you. Trust me, I've been taking notes. I got you. I will absolutely be giving him a call.
Yeah.
And this is where that gap comes into play, where they told me I couldn't get my kids. Everybody hears that CPS has amnesty, right? Before, during, after the fact, or after their treacherous behaviors, they know they get away with it, right? And they'll rub it in your face. So that generally only applies, at least in my state and county, when there's a court order. It's because the judge has amnesty that kind of trickles down onto CPS. But there's a day in there where they told me I could not get my kids. And then the next day a court order was signed. We have 24-hour gap where they're not allowed that amnesty. And they're going to get it for that. They were
Right.
acting without a court
Really
order.
violating your constitutional
That's
rights.
right.
You
That's
have
right.
to the emotional distress that you suffer, you cannot sue them in court. But for violating your constitutional
That's right.
rights, um, and interfering with proceedings that you're guaranteed. Everybody's
That's
talking
right.
about the 14th Amendment and how
You
it's
got it.
supposed to nail Donald Trump here. But the 14th Amendment is something totally different. It's not only about
Yeah.
insurrection, it's
Keep
also
hearing that.
protecting
It's so
your rights
weird.
and so forth. And the 14th Amendment can really help you um, uh, compare to what Donald Trump is going through. And I'm not trying to be politics on here, but there's constitutional things happening in our world right now that you can utilize. And by listening to what the Congress are doing and all the politics, there's things can help you with CPS matters. And you can use the 14th Amendment to your advantage in suing CPS because there's certain things that are guaranteed under the Constitution. And you could look at Article 3, you can look at Article 2, you can look at all the different things. There's lots of things in the Constitution that protect your rights, and that's what you're suing them for is a violation of your constitutional rights, due process. I know exactly where you're going, and I think you got a good case there, especially when they had a jury
I know I
trial
do.
and you
That's right.
were able to get off there with very little legal help. It sounds like,
None. They all
yeah,
told me not to. They're like, just
yeah.
settle. I'm like, there's
Well,
nothing I can do. They won't let me see my
Well, they
kids but
want
one
you to
time a week.
settle. They want you to sign a PSA, which is a professional service agreement. Never sign that. That's where it's binding and it gives away your rights. So you want to be careful of PSA out there. There's a petition you can use in court called the 388, and that 388 petition is uh, a form to use to introduce new evidence, change your current plan, modify your current plan, change the venue. But remember that 388, it's the form you use to address the court. And so that's a really good form to look at and understand that. And I think it's in all the states. I know the guy in Maine said he was doing the same thing too, because I've heard from all different people from different states here already. I've over 100 people I've talked to, and they have a lot of things in common. And so, for all you listeners out there, Brett now is going to sue CPS. So, where you just sent the letter off. What about your kids? Are they adjusting to being home with you?
Oh my God. We party all the time. They're so excited to be home.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we every day. They are so thrilled to be home. They
Yeah,
mention their their time back there often. Like, we're so glad to be home because we weren't allowed to do this and that over there. Random I love yous, the works. It's getting back to normal.
that's
It's
beautiful to
me.
hear. This is a good story. These are the kind of stories I like to hear. Is somewhat of a happy. What about your mother of the children? How's she doing? You don't
I
know.
gotta
So you
She's
completely
gotta
lost
take care
touch
of
with her.
herself.
And is she trying to see the kids? The kids want to see her?
At
Okay, so
least they're not mentioning her as
yeah.
frequently,
So you're
so
you're a
that
single
lightens the
parent.
blow.
You're a single parent trying to raise your
Yes, sir.
kids. And
Oh yeah.
what the ages
Been
of
at
the
it for a
kids
while.
right now? What's the age of the kids?
7 and 8 now.
7 and 8. So right
CPS
now
cost
they're
me
still
9 months with them.
yeah. They had 9 months with them, huh? Now
Yep,
was it
yep.
9 months with them? They didn't have to go to a shelter, a group home, or foster care, right?
No, because I set up care for them or
Yeah,
immediately
every
arrangement.
listener out there, it's so important in your safety plan that you put your kids with family members, and I say trusted family members,
The
an
most
aunt,
trusted.
uncle, aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, a brother, or an uncle or an aunt. That's the same thing there. Or it could be an older sibling that is in their 20s or something like that. But if they can watch the children and maintain and take care of them, you're so lucky because once they get into shelters or group
Whew,
home or foster care,
ugly
they're
from there.
abused and they're taught to be alienated from their parents, not to love their parents, put their hands to their side. There's so many things that destroyed my kids on. And today I'm sad to say that my two boys are still with us, but one of them has really been going hard times. I think it's sometimes the effect of this social services that they're put in there because it was sad. He
I would not
quit it.
doubt that.
He quit his senior year of college, and that is really sad. But he's trying to recover, so everything like that. So, what other things, youthful things, you could share with the audience that helped you? What was some things that helped you?
Yeah, I'd love to delve on that. The number one thing that terrifies me about this most is like I don't feel like I can personally stop them. And bringing awareness to this is the way to maybe get that on track. So don't Don't You have to kind of let them bully you and just take it and listen to it, but don't take their nonsense to heart. Never ever take their what they have to say from their mouths to your heart ever. Okay? You know that your children love you. Okay? No third party who's brand new introduced to your kids can tell you anything about your children undoubtedly that you don't already know about them. Okay, so never ever let CPS come in and demoralize you. They'll break you down. They'll make it appealing to the third party to keep your children from you. Okay, never let any of that get to you. You can't. Okay, you can't. All right, it'll affect you in ways that might be beyond our comprehension as a species, even really. Like it'll dig at you deeply. I have proof of that sitting right next to me. I'll get to that very briefly. So that's the number one thing. You cannot get demoralized through all of this. Okay. If they attack you or if they say something slanderous about you, you start coming up with a way to counter that. Not right there on the spot, but treat it like that's going to be court evidence and start having that'll bring you peace of mind and you'll have your bases covered at the same time. Okay. So you can continue to function as a normal person, as much as a normal person as you can while you're dealing with this crisis. It's so important. Okay. Keep your wits about you. Don't let them dig at you. Okay.
Right.
And they'll try that. Absolutely. The number two thing is to not give up. As corny as that sounds, I had advice at every stage of this game, at every stage from every single person, including my own. I found my own court appointed lawyer who and started giving me the same advice 3-4 months in. Just give them what to just concede. Just do what they want. Concede right now. Just give them what they want. Sign your children over. Why? Just work with them.
Don't sign your children. Never go with the
You
education.
absolutely don't.
Right.
Do not give up. If you hear that you should just do what they want, that person's in their pocket, yo. Get out. You don't have nothing else to say to them. Get out. I'm serious. They'll tell you that. It's not true. Whether it's true or not, it's not. That's not how that has to pan out. Okay. We're people, we have capacity for change on top of that. If you need to make changes and they have some legitimate evidence against you, go and make those changes then. You want to be a better parent for your kids anyways. But if they're going to say this stuff no matter what, okay, and it'll force you to look in on yourself. Don't let it dig at you and make sure that you have your counters, your physical, real evidence, your counters to all this nonsense that they're going to come up with. And do not give up. Use that to not give up. When they tell you to give up, you don't give up for anything, not for nothing. You know that your kids are over there and they need you. You know that they need you. Okay. You know that they're not going to have a good life without you. You don't have a choice as a parent. You don't have a choice anyways. They're making the choice for you. You don't give up ever throughout any of that, no matter what they say. Oh, we got this and that. Oh, yeah, it's going to be hard because of this and that. We'll get your kids back to you sooner. They use my kids as freaking gambling chips. Oh, yeah, here, talk to the district attorney. And like, oh, yeah, we'll make sure that it doesn't span any longer than like 9 months if you secede to CPS right now and don't take this to jury trial. They'll try to bargain with you with your kids just like that. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so gross, but it motivates me. It motivated me then and it motivates me now to do not give up, because that's the sick system that they run, dude. That's the sick system, and they love it. And they make a ton of money on that too. They make a ton of money on their six. Do not ever give up. Never. Have your counters. Don't let them dig it.
$1 billion business, $1 billion business. They get funds from the state and the federal for every trial.
That's right.
That
Exactly.
with. So your two children have a price tag on their head. In fact, it's the only agency that can legally try to steal your children or make money off your children, which is wrong.
That's right. Let me tell you something real crazy real quick here. They CPS enlisted a third-party organization to take a voice recording of my kids. I am not entitled to that voice recording. Interesting. They went and furthermore, they didn't bring that voice recording to jury trial, but they were going to sit there and tell me that my kids were afraid of me. And they have a voice recording of that, huh? But they wouldn't bring that as evidence to the jury trial. Interesting. And now I'm not entitled before, during, or after the case. After I won my children back, I'm still not entitled to that voice recording. This is evidence of their rigmarole. Further still, I'm telling you, it's a big shit, and you can't give up. You just got to take this beating for your kids while you're dealing with it. And it sucks. Every second you got to deal with the nightmares. You got to deal with having to go to work and put a smile on for people who you don't think deserve it. And you're missing your kids. You're dealing with the biggest crisis of your life. You still got to go to work. You still got to do your stuff, and you have to do it better than ever. Because if you slip up anywhere, they'll call you on it. And they'll document it. And they'll use it against you in court. And they'll tell your peers lies and twisted lies about it. That's right. You have to
Did
have
you
your
try
wits
to
about
talk
you.
to upper management within social services for additional help? Did you try to
Did
talk?
that.
It's a waste of time. It goes in 1 year and out the other
Absolutely.
year. For a year and a half, I met with the top dog. I met with their managers.
You
They
got.
just let go 1 year, go out the other year, and
Yep.
every time you talk to them, you make it worse. So it's always yes, no, yes,
Yeah,
no.
you're just
That's
pissing them off.
with them
Yep.
like that
And they'll
because they
treat you like
love
it
to
too.
take what you say. And then my social worker, every day we met with her, she was so excited to tell her about her new eyelashes or makeup
I
with new
know.
hers or her BMW car that she got. She got bonuses too. They get bonuses for keeping the
Sick,
children.
right?
And so,
Yep. Yep.
and then they don't have a certificate or license. I'm just so shocked at that. They're also mental health therapists, supposedly. They can deal and say that you have a mental health problem. They can tell an adult
Right.
parent you have a mental health problem. They're supposed to be able to diagnostic. Uh, they're not
They can
psychotherapists.
diagnose you. You bet.
And then they
Hmm.
also give medication to your kids for mental. They keep your kids so doped up and they do alienation with your kids. They don't.
Big
That's
time.
why I think anytime CPS is involved, this is what you should do. You should have a weekly meeting with the parents, the children, and the attorneys and the social workers, and then talk about what the parents are doing. Talk about the child's parent. The childs don't hear what the parents are happening to them. They think they're being abandoned. They think
That's
they're
right.
being left behind, and they
Hmm.
think that other parents will never get the things. So when they hear about, oh, I will you be promised in foster care to get things you don't have now. And yes, I had no job, so I had to do a Spartan lifestyle and no longer keep the Disneyland passes I had for the kids. And so, you know, the kids are precious, but they're ruined by social services, and
Vastly.
they are so terrible now. And it's just it's a horrible thing that you have to deal with them. And like with me, I deal with my story every day. And it wasn't until I got an attorney that I was able to get my boys back. And
Mm.
I was disappointed that we didn't fight uh, for my daughter as much as we could have, but it was money. Money. I had a mortgage. I gave all my. I sold my home, and selling my home is gone to pay the attorney. I had inheritance from my parents that was gone to the attorney. I
You
had
bet.
my savings from work that was gone. All that money was gone. And so now I've been struggling now since 2017 to now. I have gotten jobs, but now the heartache I'm having is that we're too old. As one of the politicians said, we have to be recertified at 74. I'm 74 now, and I was involved, lose my job at 60, and then I was involved with CPS while I was 60, but it didn't take my children until I was 65. But it's a sad state of affair that they don't like to hire older people. They don't want older people. I don't know too many people that there's nothing wrong. If you have a problem, they'll find out medically. You don't do that anymore. Even in the driver's license in California, when you hit 74, now every 5 years you have to take a test and you have to come in person for new pictures, eye exam. And the eye exam is a joke in the Department of Motor Vehicles. They have the light off in the area where you test your eyes. And so if you're over the age of 40, your eyes don't see as well in darkened areas. And they're
Naturally.
trying to take the eye exam. And I have corrective vision, of course. And my eye doctor said, great. But if you failed because you didn't say I said, could I have a place where you have some light above my head? And of course, there was another chart over there, and I did fine. It's just, it's sad how they attack the old people and stuff, and they thought they could take of me. But uh, so, so what is your future outlook? What do you want to do with your life? I mean, you got a good job, right?
Eh. I'm not dealing in my passion anymore so much. I sell furniture for a living,
Right,
so
right.
it's not. Um.
So you can go to other places
Oh
if
yeah,
you want.
I'm gonna get back into caretaking before long. That's what I'm. That's what I'm really good at, actually. I'm
There's a
ridiculously
need
good at
for that. There's
caretaking,
a need for
actually.
that. There's a need for that.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
good.
everywhere too. So that's going to be my next move. But I just set up a GoFundMe so I can start funding my fight against CPS. I don't know how I like the feel of it thus far, but I'm pulling every resources, whether it's successful or not. I sent that letter because this is happening. There's nothing. that they can do besides put me in the ground that's going to stop me from coming after them, because I'm going after them not only for my family. Again, it terrified me that I'm not even close to the only case that's like this. You can't just bandersnatch people's kids and then perpetuate lies about them so you can make a bone, so they can make some money. That's
Yeah,
disgusting to me, and it's
yeah.
unacceptable. So I'm not going to stop going after them until I'm somewhat successful. I'm going to bring light to this locally at least, or I'm going to be successful in suing them, or
Have you
both.
contacted your representatives about your case at all?
That's the next step. Actually, that's the next step
You need to make some
is to get
changes.
get in touch with
You know,
BRO.
one of the things I think that you should start off making a change is that the allegations should be in writing and they should be signed. Most people say anything on the phone. If
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
revengeful, they want to get to another spouse, or they want to tell storytelling, or they want to steal the children, and such as in my case, they'll say anything. I mean, one guy from North Carolina was saying that his fiance's former husband was making allegations against his children and his fiance because he wanted revenge, and
Oh
he
yeah,
said his children were eating carpet. You know,
sure.
even billy goats won't eat carpet. I mean, it's just the ludicrous things and allegations are so bad. I mean, they really are. So if you sign the allegations, you write them down, people will think twice before doing that.
Oh
Also, they
yeah,
know
that's a good point.
they can
There'd be
be
some
sued
accountability there.
if it's a false accusations.
That's right.
So that should be done. And of course, we need to make sure we have transparency. We should have those weekly meetings where the kids know what's going on with you.
Ooh,
Kids
they
are
would
kept in
never.
the dark. They are
They would
kept in
never.
the dark. They don't know what's happening. They think they've
That's
been
right.
abandoned by their parents.
That's right.
CPS
It's to the
Notorious
company's
would say,
benefit.
"Your mom and dad no good." They were telling my wife was not a good mother. Her
Yep.
family, her mom, you know, was saying some negative things about her being a house, being a mother of our kids. They were so bad. They were never.
Yep.
In fact, she found out through these cases that she was abused and neglected growing up. She found out because it all highlighted her mind. I mean, she had scalding hot water and hot coffee put on her as a punishment. She was molested by her brother. Parents didn't protect her. She was raped.
I'm kind of sensitive to stuff like that. I'm sorry. I got to pump the brakes
Yeah,
there a little bit. That'll
yeah,
that'll
I know.
cash my day. I'll have
I
a
know,
real
but
bad
I'm
day.
trying to tell you that it's a horrific thing, and she's a
I'm so
beautiful woman.
sorry.
She's a beautiful woman. She loves her children. We love her children. All we wanted to do was have a family. We had a beautiful home. That home was destroyed, and it's really sad. So, abuse does happen out there. We do have a right to have that agency, but they need to be transparent and not say that everybody's the same.
That's
Somebody's
right.
on drugs. Not everybody does drugs.
It's
Not
villains.
everybody beats their children. I've had people on the show that talk about putting a child's hand in a fire that shows hot. Some stupid stuff like that. But we really got to make changes. We need to have accountability for the money they spent. One foster care had my young son, and they went out and bought him 100 pairs of socks because they're afraid to lose the money. 100 pairs of socks. What are you going to do with 100 pairs? Maybe underwear would be one thing, but socks. It was just
Hmm.
crazy stuff that they do with the money. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous. Did you at any time experience um, them trying to make you sign anything or give away anything?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, you bet.
What was an
Absolutely.
example of that? What was some of the examples so that people can hear?
Their permanency plans that they would come up with. You're allowed to present objections to that. You'd be like, no, that's not accurate information. So I can't sign that. I'm not going to lie on a legal document. And this will
Oh
be
yeah,
presented in court, so it'll be a legal document. I'm not going to sign that. This is inaccurate
they're
information.
wheeling and trailing. They make a promise, and then at the end of the month, they change their mind, and you're back doing more classes or more parenting classes
You
or
got it.
more of this thing. So it really is very, very. Did you see anything positive from CPS at all in your experience?
No, no, like literally nothing. I had I had asked
That's
them,
sad.
and when this first started, can I set up some like therapy for my kids? You guys keep talking about, can I set that up then so we can all be a part of that? They're like, that's what we want you to do for like to start getting your kids back. I was like, great. So am I allowed to take them to therapy then? I pick them up. They're like, no, we'll set up transportation. I have a voice recording all of this, by the way. I record everything,
Wow.
all of this. Okay. So they're like, I set up the court date. They're like, let us know when it is. Or sorry, the therapy date. They're like, let us know what it is. We'll provide transportation. I set it up for 2 weeks later. I call them in a week. I was like, hey, the appointment's in a week and it's at this place. Can you help us? We have custody of your kids. You're not supposed to be going and setting up therapy. I was like, but
You
you
have
told me before
medical.
that.
You have your medical rights. You didn't give her your medical. You forget. People don't forget that educational and medical rights have to be taken. You have a
Yeah, yeah.
right to have
Yep.
your own doctor examine your kids. You
Yep.
have a right to have doctors treat your kids, and you need to
Your own
get
religion.
evaluations from them. If they are contesting that they have a mental problem, take them to your own doctor and
Yep.
have that thing there. You're right to have your own drug testing too, because they can't do testing themselves. They're
Yep.
not doctors. They're not doctors. They're not psychotherapists. And they profess that they are. They profess that
Hmm.
they are.
Yeah, it's a pretty
So,
sick system that they got here. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to do everything I can to shut it down. I
well,
really
I'm glad
am.
you're
I'm going to bring
fighting
light to everything.
with Wisconsin, to all the listeners out there and who see this show, because the show is recorded and transmitted to all the listeners out there, is that please uh, call in at 888 at 6582 and ask to be a guest speaker and share your story. Say that Bob Pace sent you and schedule a time. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day at 10 o'clock Pacific time for an hour, and at 7 o'clock at night for an hour Pacific time. And so pick one of the 14 shows and you can be a guest speaker. Also, this tool that is so important that is sometimes very hard to get. I know it takes money. I had to sell my house for it. I'd give all my funding and everything for it. Is to get yourself an attorney. We have an attorney here called Vincent W. Davis. He's a professional, a trial attorney. He has years of fighting CPS and getting the kids back. He also has sued CPS and won. He has won cases against CPS for violation of your constitutional rights, and so he has won cases. He's offering right now a free consultation session of 30 minutes up to an hour. Um, of time to talk with him about the strategies of how you get your kids back and fighting CPS. And if you like him, retain him. And he has a various scale that works for depending on the complexity of the case, how long the case, and whether you live close by or further away. But he'll come and help you. It's worth the phone call. Again, it's 888 Tell them Bob Pay sent you. So, Brett, we got like about 3 minutes left. Is there any other words of advice you can give?
Have your documentation. Don't let them break you down emotionally. You know they're lying. Don't give up on your children, even though they'll try to sweeten the deal to get you to give up on your children. You don't give up at any stage in the game. I went from being a full time parent to seeing my kids one time a week for 2 hours physically for 9 months, and then I get one video chat. They refuse to move that up. Follow their and just follow their procedures. You got to file the complaints. You know it's a waste of time. You know it's going to piss them off, and you're going to face some backlash. It's all part of the process. You just got to do it. File the complaints. Keep your documentation on you. Voice record. Like I said, I don't frankly care if it's illegal. I know right from wrong, and I'm going to call them on it. So I'll record everything, at every instance. That's just me, though. I'm not going to be tried for that and held in contempt unless that's brought to light somehow. But the only reason that'd be brought to light is if I'm, bringing their wrongdoings to light. So Edward
Yeah,
Snowden, yeah, then I guess, like, whatever, it's still going to happen. I'm not going
right.
to let families continue to suffer.
No,
So just
it's
keep your
it's
wits about you whole way through.
also really careful of the police. I'm not trying to say that all
Yep,
police are
big
bad,
time.
but
That was the start of
social
this.
workers have a tendency to dupe the police to enforce
Yep,
what they want to do with your kids. So
that's right. They work hand in hand.
remember, a police has to have a warrant out for your arrest, a warrant out for a visit your home. They got to, they give you traffic violations, things like that. But you know from experience that the police are not your friend, which is sad to say. There are good policemen, we need them, but we need to really look at our social service. Our social service, by the way, are being taxed right now because of our immigration. We have millions and millions of people in this country now that are getting food stamps, medical. Their kids are given free schooling. They're given housing. They're giving um, jobs and cash aid and stuff. So we have a big crisis in the United States where we need to take care of our own, and people like yourself that are good parents, that you have a good job, you know, you're proud of what your job is, and you pay your electric bill, you have a home, and right now you got two beautiful kids that you're proud of and that you love them dearly, and that's really admiring as a great dad, I tell you. With that being said, Brett, I'm going to close our session and get ready to sign off. I want to thank all my listeners today. I hope that the new year brings you much success and happiness. Don't give up. Fight for your family. Remember, it's the children that you love. You weren't born with a manual to know how to raise your children, but you're born with a heart, and your heart will love your kids. Do what your heart tells you to do, and never give up fighting CPS. And so, next time, I hope to see you. God bless, and thank you all for being on the show.